about reality on its own apart from the Bible. So he's going to have to establish in principle laws of nature and causality if he's going to invoke science.
No, I don't think that's necessary because you've already accepted science. You've already said that you accept science.
You're not understanding the issue. You're confused. Okay.
No, I mean, let me finish my thought because
Sure.
you
Okay.
like here's the issue I have is that in every one of these debates that I've heard you talk, you're talking 90% of the time, and you're interrupting people, right? And you're also as a person, the way that you treat people is very obnoxious, and it's interesting to me as a person who. Let me finish my thought. This is what I'm talking about. Let me finish my thought, because as a person who.
Yeah, you're going to finish your thought, sir, but you're going to stop with the ad homs. Get to the point.
You ad hom all the time.
Science.
Yeah, as a person who claims to be a Christ follower, you act nothing like Christ. I mean, you.
So I'll tell you again.
You act like the complete opposite.
We're going to stick to the debate, okay? And we were talking about the relationship of science, okay? So let's keep on with the debate.
I mean, let's keep on with the debate. So here's the thought. You have already said that you accept science. You've already said that you accept the principles of science. So if you accept the principles of science and you accept the fact that the Bible has scientific inconsistencies and impossibilities, then there's really no reason for someone to have to justify science apart from your Christian belief. It's not necessary.
Well, again, you've misrepresented my position, and you don't actually understand the issue. What we have here is a conflict of world views. Science is metaphysically viable from within the Christian worldview. Since he rejects the Bible and the Christian worldview, when he uses science against the Christian worldview and the Bible, he's going to have to justify science as a weapon against the Bible from within his own worldview.
No, I mean,
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were done.
It is irrelevant that I accept science. I do accept science from within the Christian worldview. But since he's not speaking from the Christian worldview, science cannot be uttered in a vacuum. There has to be a metaphysical substrate for science.
All right, can I respond?
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Science will either have a substrate of Christianity or not Christianity. Now, before I finish up, do you agree that science either has a substrate, which is Christianity, or not?
As a substrate of all religion.
Okay. Wing?
Okay, can I respond to your whole statement?
I'd like an.
You didn't understand.
I'm asking you a very simple question, so I can wrap this up. So
I want to respond to your whole statement.
Does science, sir? I will move on to somebody else if you're just simply going to be obstructionist. This is
I'm not trying to be obstructionist. You're talking and you're not letting other people talk. I gave you 5 minutes to talk, and you won't let me respond to you.
You're muted. Now I'll tell you this one more time. Stop being argumentative, and we can continue and complete the conversation and debate.
This is a joke.
I'm not being argumentative, but you got to change.
I want you. You just got server muted. I want you to stop. Now,
give me a chance to talk.
Okay.
Give me a chance to respond.
My question to you: if you don't stop, I'll server mute you again. Now, I asked you a question. I said, science is only metaphysically viable within only one frame of reference, because only one model of reality can be true. Now, either science is metaphysically viable from within the Christian worldview or not. Now, the fact that he and I would believe that science is viable does not mean that I have to acquiesce to his invocation of science, because I don't accept science as metaphysically viable from within his model of reality. I only accept that science is viable from within the Christian worldview. Okay,
so are you going to let me respond now?
Yeah,
can I respond?
Do you understand my position now?
Yeah, I understand I've always understood your position. But the issue is, even if we accept your worldview, right? So we accept your worldview that science works and it exists and it is compatible with the Christian worldview. That's what you're saying. So then if we show that the Bible has scientific inconsistencies and incompatibilities, then your view is hypocritical. It contradicts itself. So your own view is self-defeating. Let me finish my statement. You've talked for 5 minutes. So if you're saying that within your own framework, science is totally compatible with your Christian view, with your belief in God and your presuppositions. Then, if we show that there are scientific inconsistencies and incompatibilities in the Bible, then it shows that there's a problem with your framework. There's a problem. And this doesn't have anything to do with my view. We're critiquing your view here. We're talking, if we see these issues, these scientific issues in the Bible, your view has been refuted because you just said it was compatible when clearly it's not compatible, because we can point to all these places in the Bible that are scientifically impossible. Like Noah's Ark. How do you fit every animal in the world in a boat the fraction the size of the Titanic? That is totally absurd.
Where does the Bible say every animal in the world went on the boat?
Every species of animal obviously had to go onto the boat to survive.
Not necessarily. It says all of the kinds. Okay, through thousands of years of repeated reproduction of animals, new subspecies can diverge.
So let me ask. So you really believe that you believe the kangaroos got off the boat at Mount Airy and hopped all the way to Australia without leaving any sign of their existence, any sign of the fact that they traveled all the way across the continent, right, and through seas to get to Australia? Like, do you realize how ridiculous your beliefs are? Like, honestly.
First of all, you still didn't understand my position. Okay. If you're going to falsify the Bible by appealing to empiricism, then what you are saying is empiricism, since it has falsified the Bible, doesn't need the Bible for its metaphysical viability. Do you understand that?
No, what are you trying to say? It's difficult to understand.
Science needs a model of reality for its metaphysical viability. If you are going to say that science falsifies the Bible, then science doesn't need the Christian worldview as its prerequisite. So therefore, science is going to have to be defended outside of the Christian worldview as that it is metaphysically viable in order to use it to falsify the Bible.
Hold on.
Right. That's correct. That sounds reasonable.
Okay. Now, the problem here is this, is you're going to have to defend that the prerequisites of science actually exist. I perfectly understand that you find certain things in the biblical account that are ridiculous, but you find them ridiculous because by blind faith, you accept a materialistic worldview, which is not empirically determined. Now, can you please tell me, is matter, energy, causality, and laws of nature the prerequisites of science?
Can I will respond to that in a second. I promise I will respond to that. But again, if you are saying that you accept science and that science is compatible with your worldview, and then you look at the Bible and see all these places where it is scientifically impossible or contradiction with science, then your own view is contradictory, right? Now, that's a separate discussion from how do you justify science irrespective of a Christian worldview. Those are two different discussions. I'm saying your own worldview self-defeats. Now we can have a discussion about...
It's not self-defeating. All right, I'll tell you why.
Well, yeah.
Okay, here's the problem, okay? Are all conclusions in science truth declarations?
In science theories, theories are a declaration of truth. If there's a scientific fact,
here's the fundamental problem. You are ignorant of the basics in the philosophy of science. No declarations or stipulations in science are designated truth. Okay, now do you know who Karl Popper was?
No, who's Karl Popper?
You don't know? Okay, but you're familiar with science and you don't know who Karl Popper was?
No, tell me.
Okay, Karl Popper is probably one of the great philosophers of science within the 20th century. He's had a monumental impact and influence on the philosophy of science. Now, if you're going to be arguing for the efficacy of science, I'm surprised that you don't know that. Anyway, Karl Popper championed what is called the falsification criterion in science. Do you have any idea why he championed the falsification criterion? It is because no declarations in science or theoretical constructs are designated as verified or that they are truth. All conclusions in science are provisional and are subject to change, revision, and refutation, either by a future observation or a re-examination of the data. The reason why Popper championed falsification was because he identified that conclusions in science cannot be ultimately verified. If they can't be ultimately verified, then you cannot say that science makes truth declarations. Truth is a metaphysical concept, not an empirical one. Now, let me ask you this question. In empiricism, in the world of science, true or false, if you take a course in the philosophy of science, will they teach you that observations are inherently theory-laden?
Hey, listen, but when...
Wing, I'm talking with somebody right now. Wing?
I'm sorry.
Are observations in science inherently theory-laden?
Are all observations theory-laden? What do you
in empirical endeavors, in empiricism, are observations inherently theory-laden?
I don't understand the question.
Well, this is a very basic concept in the philosophy of science. If you don't understand that, how can you come to the table here and tell me what is or is not science? Because you see, if all observations in empiricism are inherently theory-laden because of our web of beliefs, then any particular conclusions that are uttered out of the mouth of a scientist or a consensus of science, if they are inherently theory-laden, then how do they falsify another state of affairs? Because you see, in order to falsify something, you have to employ the law of non-contradiction, right, Wing?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. So in order to falsify X, you have to verify not X, right?
Okay, sure.
All right. So in science, do we have absolute verification?
No, I've had this discussion before.
Okay,
Science.
good. So therefore, if we don't have verification in science, what we have are tentative conclusions that may or may not be held in consensus. And it is subject to the falsification criterion, which means tomorrow it could be falsified, right?
Okay, can I respond to that? Because you've been talking for a while.
So do you agree with what I just said, that all empirical conclusions are tentative?
Yes, I agree with that.
Good,
but let me finish. Oh my God, dude, you've been talking for 10 minutes. Are you serious?
I'm trying to get to a point. Do tentative conclusions absolutely falsify their negation?
No, they don't. No, nothing in science is absolute. No.
Good. Now you've contradicted yourself, because in order for science to falsify something in the Bible, it would have to be absolutely verified in order to falsify its negation in the Bible. So you've contradicted yourself now.
I have. First of all, let me talk about science for a second before I respond to that.
I want you to respond to your contradiction.
Can I first let me because you've been talking for like 15 minutes. The fact that science uses observation and empiricism to come to conclusion about things, and the fact that it can change the conclusion based on future data and future evidence, is actually the strength of science.
No disputing that. That's a non sequitur.
No. I mean, you're talking about it. Science does make truth claims, but it makes truth claims beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay.
No, okay. First of all, what you just said is ridiculous, because beyond a reasonable doubt is a principle of jurisprudence, not empiricism. Okay. Number two, I'll ask you the question again: are all conclusions in science designated provisional?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if we have a provisional conclusion, it could turn out to be false.
Yeah, and that is the strength of science.
Let me finish.
Okay,
listen,
but that's,
dude,
sir, that's the strength of science.
No, listen.
The fact that you can,
listen, dude.
Can I finish my? Can I finish my?
Listen, I'm getting frustrated with
Well,
you.
you should be getting frustrated because you talk for like 20 minutes and then I talk for 5 seconds and then you're like, fuck you.
Listen, you're shooting your mouth off. You don't know what you don't know what you're talking.
Well, if you let me talk, I could.
Okay, dude, let me finish. If all conclusions in science are provisional, then they may turn out to be false. Is that correct?
That's the strength of science, that you can change the
listen.
with
I am
evidence.
trying to go through. Listen, what is frustrating dealing with you is I'm trying to go down discursive reasoning. I'm trying to go down discursive reasoning with you. I'm trying to go from A to B to C to D. Okay, and every time I try to go through each one of these things, you launch off into a soliloquy. Now, I'm not discussing with you the strengths and wonders of science. I'm simply asking you, which you have confirmed, is that all conclusions in science are provisional, which means they could turn out to be false tomorrow. Now, if a conclusion in science is provisional, then it is not necessarily true. Is that correct?
Yeah, can I respond?
Just say yes or no. That's
all I want.
Can I respond?
Yes
Jesus Christ, dude. Let me talk.
I will let you talk in a minute, but I'm trying to get to a point. I'm trying to show you.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to educate you of your own ignorance in the.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of the philosophy of science. You didn't even know who Karl Popper was.
Oh, I know. I'm such an idiot.
Have you ever heard of Thomas Kuhn?
Yes.
Who is he?
Thomas Kuhn?
Yeah. Who is he?
Wasn't he a famous scientist that?
Just Google it.
Just you hear the clicking of the keyboard? He's now Googling it.
Who gives a fuck?
You asked if I've heard of him. Yes,
didn't ask anything else.
Now, Wing, Thomas.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah. Now that you've Googled it.
Yes, I have heard. You asked if I've heard of him. I've heard of him.
Yeah, right. Why the long pause, sir?
I have heard of him, but I don't remember. I don't remember.
You see, the problem. You're right. I have dealt with you. The problem is you are argumentative and you won't let me get to a point. Now,
sir, because you've been talking for 15 minutes and you haven't let me get a word in edgewise.
You will get a word in edgewise, but every time. Okay, you're muted. Okay, now every time I try to get to a point, you want to go off scurry on a semi-related rabbit trail.
No, I want to respond to you.
To a freaking point. Listen, if you don't,
dude, if it takes you 30 minutes to get to.
Okay, you see, the only way to deal with you is the server mute you. Okay, now. If all conclusions in science are provisional, then they are not necessarily true. In order to falsify another proposition, such as a proposition from the Bible, you have to have the negation of that proposition be verified. You simply can't present the proposition that is provisional and is not necessarily true to falsify the proposition in the Bible. Because then what you're saying is a provisional conclusion that is accepted but isn't necessarily true falsifies the Bible. So something that is not necessarily true falsifies a proposition, because that's what your position is. Okay?
Now, so, can I respond in full?
The only way.
Oh my Jesus!
The only way that a proposition in science can falsify a proposition in the Bible is the proposition in science has to be verified and not be a provisional conclusion. Now, I'll ask you one more time: are all conclusions in science provisional, or are they not all provisional?
Yes, they are provisional. Can I respond now?
Therefore, you can't falsify another proposition with a provisional conclusion, because that provisional conclusion is not necessarily true.
Okay, Darth, you do need to give him an opportunity
to
I'm respond.
Done. I finally got to my point.
Oh, gee, really? Are you done? Are you sure? I mean, because you can interrupt me.
Okay,
yeah.
Wing.
So do you understand your error, Wing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you'd let me respond to you, you've been talking for 30 minutes.
Yes. Now you need to let him respond without him being interrupted and let him finish more than just one-word sentences, please.
Okay. The fact that science makes these provisional claims is the strength of science. The fact that science looks at the evidence and it looks at the empirical data and it says, oh, for example, we know that gravity is real because we see the effect it has on solar systems and the effect it has when it and for atomic theory and every other theory in science, evolution, for example, that is actually the strength of science. Now, you can talk about this, you know, you can say, well, this isn't true. This isn't truth because it can change with new data. But it's true in the most relevant way that something can be true, in the fact that it's true given the evidence that we have, and that it can change with better evidence. That is not something to be critical of science. That is something to praise science because of. Now, what I don't understand is, when we look at the Bible, why would we not approach the Bible's claims in the same way? It seems as though you're making the claim that when we look at biblical statements, like, you know, the claim of a global flood, or the claim that Jesus rose from the dead, or the claim that the sun stood still in the sky, or that there was 12 great plagues. It seems as though the claim you're making is we have to disprove these things definitely. You know, that we have to falsify these in such a way that we can absolutely prove that, say, there were no 12 great plagues in Egypt. In other words, the burden of proof, the way that we prove these things in the Bible not to be true, has to be even greater than the burden of proof that we put on scientific theories. That's absolutely absurd. Why would you expect the evidence against the Bible to be even stronger than the evidence that we use in science? That's what I don't understand. Why are you holding the Bible to an even higher standard of proof than you would hold a scientific claim?
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Yeah, I want to thank you for that community college lecture and your non-response to my last question. Now, the question that I ask you is, do provisional conclusions necessarily false a proposition that is the negation of that provisional conclusion?
It's hard for me to. Can you ask again? It's hard for me to understand what you're even.
Does a provisional conclusion necessarily falsify a proposition where the proposition is the negation of the provisional conclusion? Do provisional conclusions necessarily falsify something that disagrees with it?
If both of the claims are provisional, then yes, it falsifies.
No, sir, you're not understanding the nature of falsification. Falsification employs the law of non-contradiction. Okay, do you know what the law of non-contradiction is?
The law of non-contradiction exists in science, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, you.
It exists in science. When science,
you know, the people I have the most difficult time debating, do you know who they are? Are the people who know the least about the basics of philosophy and science. Now, can you show me, empirically, can you give me an empirical justification of the law of non-contradiction?
No, the law of non-contradiction comes before empiricism.
Okay, good. So now you contradict yourself again.
Holy fucking shit.
Now, I will ask you again. Listen carefully to my words, because they're carefully chosen. Do provisional conclusions necessarily falsify a proposition which is the negation of the provisional conclusion?
Absolutely no, they don't absolutely.
Good. You've now screwed yourself in the debate, because what you have said is that certain provisional conclusions, earlier in the conversation, you said scientific declarations falsify certain propositions in the Bible. But since you have agreed that scientific declarations are all provisional in nature, you have now contradicted yourself, because you stated provisional conclusions do not necessarily falsify propositions of their negation.
And let me ask you then.
So hold on, I'm not done yet. So you have contradicted yourself now.
No, I haven't contradicted myself, because let me explain why. Because
you don't
I
understand. I just
claims of the
explained it to
Bible
you.
just as propositionally as I do the scientific claims.
No, you're not, dude, listen, I'm telling you right now, you're not stupid, but you're in over your head when it comes to the basics of the philosophy of science and philosophy. Now, you contradicted yourself, and I will explain how you did it, okay? You told me that certain scientific stipulations necessarily contradict propositions of the Bible. This is what you stated. Did you not? Yes or no?
Yeah, I did say that.
Okay, good. Now, such stipulations are provisional in nature, right?
As are the stipulations in the Bible.
Okay, sir,
They're just provisional.
Listen, your problem is you don't know how to focus in the
I am
conversation.
focused on what you're saying.
You're being argumentative. Listen.
I'm not being argumentative.
Yes, you are. Now, you contradicted yourself because you said certain scientific stipulations necessarily contradict certain biblical propositions. But then in the latter part of the conversation, you stated that all scientific stipulations are provisional in nature. Did you not?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, good. Do all provisional conclusions necessarily falsify the proposition of the negation of the provisional conclusion?
No, because that would mean that it couldn't be wrong.
Right. Guess what? You've now contradicted yourself.
No, I haven't. And can I explain why?
I explained to you the second time I've explained.
Can I explain why? Can I explain? Can I respond?
Dude, I'm so frustrated at this point because I just explained it to you twice.
Can I respond? Can I respond? Thank you for explaining. Can I respond? Because I don't see why the claims in the Bible should be viewed any less propositionally than the claims in science.
You're not understanding.
No, I said this before in the speech that you criticized. But what I asked is, why is the burden of proof on the Bible?
You're changing the subject now, sir.
I'm not changing the subject.
No, sir. Again, I've talked with you before. I have the same problem every time I talk with you.
No, we've never talked before.
Listen.
We've never had a conversation.
Yeah, we have talked before because I know I've talked with you before. I know I have. Now, the problem here is I've explained it.
Just like you know the Bible's true.
I will explain it to you a third time, and maybe it'll take about 7 or 8 times. I will explain to you how you have contradicted yourself. Now, we'll go over it again. Do provisional conclusions necessarily falsify other propositions?
No, they don't necessarily falsify the proposition.
Good. That necessarily is the key word. They don't necessarily falsify it. Are all stipulations and conclusions in science provisional?
Yes.
Good. Then they don't necessarily falsify any other propositions.
But if you view the propositions in the Bible as provisional, then
you still don't get it. I just explained it to you a third time.
Come on, man. Focus.
Listen, dude, I just explained this to you one more time. Do provisional conclusions necessarily falsify propositions where the propositions are the negation of the provisional conclusion? Do provisional conclusions necessarily falsify other propositions?
No.
Good. Now you've contradicted yourself because now what you have stipulated is that the stipulations of science do not necessarily contradict anything.
Okay, but using that same logic, can I respond? Using that same logic.
Before you go on, do you recognize now how you've contradicted yourself?
No, I don't think I have.
I have to explain it 5 times.
Okay. If it will help you, I'll say yes, I've contradicted myself. If I can respond, then we'll say yes, I've contradicted.
I don't want you to say yes. I want you to sincerely recognize how your position is self-contradictory. If you say that scientific stipulations falsify X, okay, well, X has to be verified and true in order for it to falsify X. But if the stipulation of not X is provisional in nature, then not X does not falsify X.
So let me ask you this.
Do you understand now?
Let me ask you this.
I asked you, do you understand what I just said?
Yeah, I understand. And so let me ask you.
So now, do you recognize how you contradicted yourself?
No, I don't. I don't.
Oh, which I'll have to explain it a sixth
Please,
time.
God, just let Winger.
Can you let me
speak, man.
respond?
Like I'm on your side on this, ZJ, but don't annoy me to where I go on his. Like, we've heard the same explanation thrice, and it's about to be a fifth time. Like,
Because if in science provisional statements cannot falsify others, then how could anything in science be known? I mean, how could if, for example, if we have a theory that's better than an old theory, a theory that replaces a theory. So, for example, the theory of evolution replaces an older theory of genetics, of how we understood things. How can something be false in science if provisional statements cannot falsify other claims? You're saying that nothing can be false in science? Are you saying that certain theories can't be better than others?
No,
because it seems
what I'm saying to you is, in your non-Christian worldview, you don't have a basis for knowledge.
What does that have to do with the conversation we've just been having?
Why?
That is a totally new claim that you just made.
No, you just said knowledge is possible from a scientific perspective. Now, what I'm saying, when we speak, okay, we're not in a neutral standing area here. I'm speaking from the Christian worldview. You are speaking from not the Christian worldview. Now, you are saying that certain scientific stipulations necessarily falsify accounts in the Bible. But you have just contradicted yourself when you say that provisional conclusions do not necessarily falsify things in the Bible.
But if in science certain provisional claims can falsify others, right? If a provisional
claim, they're not verified, are they, sir? They're not verified, are they?
What do you mean they're not? So you're saying gravity's not verified? Are you saying evolution's not verified?
Dude, you need. See, the problem in my debate with you, and I've talked with you before.
No, you haven't talked with me. We've never talked before.
No, I've talked with you before.
Okay.
I know I have. The problem is you're not narrowing your focus. Your focus is too wide, and you're scurrying down semi-related rabbit trails. Now, in order to, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. How do you falsify something?
How do you make a falsifiable claim?
No.
How do you falsify a claim?
How do you falsify a proposition?
You show that there's evidence that it's not true. Yeah, you show that there's so if I say that, for example, all birds have wings, right? I can falsify that by showing that there are birds without wings.
That's incorrect, sir. The way
that's wrong.
That what you just said is wrong. Okay, the way that you falsify a proposition is to verify the negation of the proposition. Do you understand?
That's what I just said.
Now,
that's exactly what I just said.
Now, but you see, are conclusions in science verified?
Yes, they're verified.
No, sir. No, then they're not provisional. Which is it? Are stipulations in science provisional or verified? Because if they're verified, then they're not provisional. If they're provisional, then they're not verified. So which is it? Are stipulations in science through the empirical process, are the conclusions of science from observation, testing, and repeatability, are the stipulations that follow from those empirical endeavors, are they provisional or are they verified?
They're verified by evidence.
Okay, you see, the problem I'm having here is you don't even understand the basics of the philosophy of science. Okay, I just asked you a very clear, circumspect question, and the answer that you gave me, shows me you didn't understand it. One more time, are the conclusions, the propositional statements in science, okay, are these statements provisional in nature and are not necessarily true, or are they verified and necessarily true?
They're verified by evidence.
Okay, you see, you didn't answer the question, sir.
They're verified by the evidence.
Okay. Now, look, do you know what the problem is when it comes to evidence, sir? You ever heard of underdetermination in science?
No, what is underdetermination?
Okay, underdetermination means is that when we're attempting to demonstrate something or falsify something, we do so from a web of belief and auxiliary hypotheses. And you can't verify or falsify all of your auxiliary hypotheses. So when you make an observation from evidence, you're doing so from a web of belief and auxiliary hypotheses. Is it possible very simply, is it possible to verify or falsify all of your web of beliefs that are like spokes on a wheel that give rise to your singular observation given sense experience? The answer is no, you can't.
Okay.
So that's why conclusions in science are never designated as true or proven or verified. That's why they're designated as provisional, because they could be falsified tomorrow. So a provisional conclusion may be accepted and spoken of as though it were verified or truth, but it is not necessarily true. In order to falsify X, you have to necessarily verify not X. But if you adopt not X in order to falsify X, and your adoption of not X is just simply provisional, then the adoption of not X is provisional. It's not verified. So all you're simply saying is when you hold forth a stipulation in science that is provisional, is that the provisional conclusion is inconsistent or at odds with the biblical proposition or scenario. But you haven't shown that the provisional conclusion falsifies the biblical proposition. All you've just simply said is the interpretation of the past, the retrodiction, are inconsistent with each other. You haven't shown that the scientific stipulation is necessarily true. And I just ask you, how do you falsify X? Do you have to show that not X is necessarily true? And you said yes. But you told me that science is not in the business of making statements of necessary truth, that they're stipulations that are provisional in nature. So a provisional conclusion in whatever endeavor may be at odds with something else, but since it's provisional, it cannot be said that it necessarily falsifies its negation. You understand now?
So you're saying that there's a contradiction between the claim that something is verified and that something is provisional.
Yeah, provisional means that it is accepted as a current explanation or maybe the best explanation. It may be considered to be true, but it is never regarded as being necessarily true. If that was true in the philosophy of science, Karl Popper, who was knighted by the Queen of England for his contribution to the philosophy of science, advocating the falsification criterion, and that has its own problems too. But
okay, and but you said
listen, hold on, I'm not done yet. Okay. Now,
I mean, you've had 30 minutes.
The reason, yeah, that's because I've had to educate you on a whole bunch of issues that you didn't understand. Now, the falsification criterion that is popularized in science would never be around today if stipulations were verified. Because you know why Karl Popper advanced falsification? It's because he realized that verification in science is not possible and that the conclusions are provisional. So what you do is you take theories, to well-formulated theories, you subject them to a gauntlet of falsification tests, and the theory or explanation of a given phenomenon that passes a gauntlet of falsification tests lives another day, and it is deemed to be closer to the truth, but that theory or that conclusion, provisional conclusion, is never considered to be the truth in science. And since a stipulation cannot be regarded as absolutely true, then it cannot be said that it falsifies a proposition that disagrees with it. It is only that the provisional conclusion is inconsistent with the other proposition.
Okay, but do you deny that this method of finding truth, that this method, that the scientific method, the way that we understand the world using science, do you disagree that it is an extremely effective way of mapping reality? Do you disagree with that?
Science is only a metaphysically viable concept from within the Christian worldview. Now, if you reject that, you're going to have to account how your non-Christian worldview can account for the preconditions and prerequisites of science. Can you do that?
Let me ask you first.
I asked you a question, sir.
No. You've had plenty of time to talk.
I'll do what you do. No. I asked you a question. Now,
You're changing the topic. You're changing the topic. We're still talking about science.
At all. I said, you asked me a question. And I said to you that the metaphysical viability of science depends completely in that it arises out of the Christian worldview, and that you cannot account for the preconditions of science independently outside of the Christian worldview. So my question.
So justify that claim.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I'll repeat.
Sir, you have been speaking for 30 minutes.
Here's the question. Okay. Can you account for the necessary preconditions and prerequisites of science outside of the Christian worldview?
Okay. First of all, you're making the claim. You are making the claim that the Christian worldview is the only worldview that can account for science, that can account for logic and rationality. You need to first prove that claim. You need to demonstrate that your claim is true before asking me to disprove it, right? So go ahead.
Sure.
So go ahead and prove your claim.
That's easy. The grounds of verification and proof is that which conforms to the mind of God and how he has revealed it in natural and special revelation. The God of the Bible, the creator of all things, who has created causality and laws of nature, has stated that all human endeavors, including knowledge of the natural world, depend on how he organized this world in the Genesis account of creation. Now, you will either accept the Bible as the ultimate authority and the grounds of proof and verification, or you will accept some other source of ultimate verification and demonstrability. So do you accept my foundation of authority and proof that it is the Bible?
Okay, you said the grounds of proof exist in the mind of God. Prove that. How do you go ahead and prove that?
I explained to you that verification is to show that something conforms to the mind of God, and the mind of God as it is revealed in natural and special revelation, meaning the Bible.
Prove that. How are you going to prove that?
Okay, sir, proof has to do with verification. Do you understand that?
So how do you prove what you're saying?
You prove things by showing that it conforms and coheres to one's ultimate authority. Now, do you accept that statement?
No, I don't accept it.
Okay, you didn't understand my question. Listen again, because you don't want to cut your throat philosophically. You prove something by showing that a stipulation conforms and coheres to your ultimate authority.
Prove that. Go ahead and prove that. How do you prove that?
Sir, you see, this is the problem in the conversation. You think you have a greater understanding of these issues. Your response told me you didn't understand what I just said. I gave you a definition of verification. Now, proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to one's ultimate authority.
That sounds like your opinion. That sounds like your opinion to me. Right. Now go ahead and prove your opinion.
Now I understand what I'm dealing with here. You truly do not understand these basic scientific and philosophical.
No, I mean you're making a claim. Now prove it.
I'm trying to explain to you. I'm getting forward to you a definition first. Okay, proof and verification means that a stipulation coheres and conforms to an ultimate standard. Do you agree with that definition?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay, good. Then if you don't agree that proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to an ultimate standard, then how do you prove something?
Are you asking me how I prove something?
Yeah, how do you prove something if the stipulation doesn't conform to an ultimate standard? How would you do so without an appeal that the stipulation conforms to an ultimate standard?
I would prove something with evidence and reasoning.
Okay, sir. I have to be nice here right now.
I don't think you're capable of that, but okay, keep going.
No. The point.
No, I really don't think you are.
The reason why I'm so frustrated, okay, is there are people such as yourself who jump into these conversations. You're highly motivated, which is fine. Highly assertive, which is fine, but you're missing one thing. You are missing basic knowledge and basic philosophical and scientific concepts. Now, when you talk about evidence is going to be that there are causal connections, okay, that are the product of observation. So you're going when you talk about causal connections from an observation standpoint, you're going to have to verify that. What's going to be the ultimate authority? Is it going to be your sense perception, your reason? Will it be somebody else? Proving things, look, I'll tell you what proof is in your worldview, okay? Whether you realize it or not. Proving something is giving you a stipulation that conforms and coheres to your network of beliefs, especially your more foundational beliefs. Because how would you be able to prove something to you, WingFlier, if a stipulation didn't conform to your ultimate beliefs about reality? Would that be possible?
How is that any different from what you're doing right now?
Hold on a second. WingFlier, do you understand? Is if
I'd like a chance to respond. I mean, really, it'd be great if I could talk.
If I prove something to you, am I not giving you a stipulation that will conform to your most foundational beliefs about reality?
Are we not doing? Is that not exactly what you're doing?
That's a question, sir. If I
yes, and you're doing the exact same thing.
Right, excellent. But you see, now you've contradicted yourself, because earlier I said to you, proof is that which coheres and conforms to an ultimate standard. Now, you said no, but now you said proof is that which conforms and coheres to your foundational beliefs. Are not your foundational beliefs your ultimate commitment?
Oh, fuck.
I would say my ultimate commitment is evidence.
No, you're not. You see, this is the problem here, and I'm not trying to be mean here. You truly do not have a basic understanding of this philosophical issue. This is why I'm having problems getting through to you. I'll go over it again. You told me earlier that proof and verification is not what conforms and coheres to an ultimate authority or standard. Remember you told me that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, but then I said to you just a minute ago, is proving something that which conforms and coheres to your most foundational beliefs?
I don't view it that way. I don't think
Sir, then tell me this. If proving and verification something to you is not me presenting a stipulation that conforms and coheres to your foundational beliefs, then what would my stipulation have to conform to if it is not your most foundational beliefs?
A consensus of agreement.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Dude, you really shouldn't be in this conversation.
Okay, but can I respond now? Can I respond?
Did you understand the blunder that you just made?
No, if you would let me respond.
You didn't understand the blunder you just made, dude.
Sir, can I respond?
Wait a minute.
Okay, look, you've been talking for 20 minutes. Why don't you stop? Why don't you take a break?
How did you determine that a consensus is correct, sir?
How did I determine that a consensus is correct?
Yeah. How did you verify that the consensus is correct? Did it conform and cohere to your most foundational beliefs?
Well, did you need to give him a chance to explain?
I understand that, Molly. It's just that he keeps on scurrying down these.
I'm not trying to skirt anything, but you go further
down the rabbit hole.
So the question is, WingFlier, is when there is a consensus proclamation, is it proven because it coheres with your foundational beliefs or not?
When you say it's proven, do you mean do I believe that it's true?
No,
yes. Yes.
No. I didn't ask you that question. I said to you, something is proven, I said, because it conforms and coheres to your most foundational beliefs. And you said, no, it's when it conforms and coheres to a consensus opinion.
Yes, because I believe proof. Because God damn, dude, will you let me respond? Will you let me respond? Will you let me respond? Can I finally talk?
How do you know the consensus opinion is correct? Does it conform to something?
Can I talk?
I know, Didi. I know you're impassioned with this.
No, the guy's just stupid.
Okay, so you're just insulting me now. What's so amazing?
Let me please wait. Look, I understand that you. Hold on, Didi. I understand you getting passionate and whatnot, but I'm going to be honest with you. I feeling that you're not being really fair and charitable as far as letting him respond without cutting in. Regardless if you think he's stupid or not, if you're going to engage with him, you need to engage with him honestly and charitably and allow him to speak at least half as much as you have been allowed to speak.
Okay. Do I get a chance to talk?
Yes, please. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Okay. First of all, how is it Christ-like at all to call someone stupid? Okay, that's my first thing. Like, I don't think that you're winning anyone over with the way that you are treating people and the way you are dominating conversations. I think you're more concerned about being right, okay?
That's incorrect, my friend.
But anyway, to the discussion, back to the discussion. When we as individuals subjectively, right, if all we have to rely on is our subjective experience, the problem with that is we can be wrong individually. People can be wrong, right? I mean, I think all of us would probably agree that individuals can be wrong. That's why consensus is important, especially in science. Because when, for example, you have 6 billion people looking at the sun, then it's much more likely, for example, that there is a sun that exists outside of our own individual experience. And so when you're asking the question, you know, is something proven based on my own, you know, belief system? Yes, to some degree it's proven because I have experienced the sun. But I could be hallucinating. I could be wrong about the sun's existence. However, if you have a consensus of experience, if you have millions and billions of people who see the sun, then it becomes much more likely that the sun exists. Okay?
You're missing the point. This is the problem in the whole conversation.
Okay, but
you're not getting it. That's why we're having difficulty.
But let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought. Because here's the issue I'm having with you. What you're saying, your foundation is that the Christian God provides this standard, the only foundation in which truth and reason and logic can possibly exist. You say the Christian God is the only way that you can do this. And then I ask you to prove it. And you can't prove it, right? Because that's your starting point. I've
attempted to explain to you what the nature of proof and verification is. We haven't completed the conversation because you haven't understood what the nature of verification and proof is. Now, when I asked you, how do we prove something? I said, is it that a stipulation conforms and coheres to your most foundational beliefs? You said no. But does the consensus conform to your most foundational beliefs? Because if it doesn't conform to your most foundational beliefs about reality, then that would mean that the consensus is wrong.
I could believe something, sir. I could believe something. I could have a foundational belief about something and be wrong. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's not the issue. You see, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? The reason why I called you stupid is not because you're fundamentally lacking in intelligence. Is because you are willfully ignoring and disregarding me painstakingly working through this issue with you, and you're willfully ignorant, okay? Now, I'll try again. Proof is a stipulation that it conforms and coheres to one's ultimate standard. Now, you said no. Now, I'm going to ask you.
Let me explain.
I'm going to finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a very simple question because we're going to smoke this one out. Is proof that which conforms and coheres to your foundational beliefs, or is proof that which conforms to the consensus? Which is it?
I think the best form of proof we have is the proof that can be verified with evidence and with consensus.
That's not that what you just gave me was a slogan. Now, I will repeat the question again. Is proof and verification a stipulation that conforms and coheres to your most foundational beliefs, or is proof and verification that which conforms and coheres to the consensus view?
It's not just consensus. It's consensus based on evidence. Consensus based on evidence is the best proof that we have.
That is, okay, sir, it doesn't matter that you're invoking evidence, okay?
It does matter. Yeah, evidence does matter. If we're talking about proof, then evidence matters.
Listen, but what you're not understanding is that the presentation of evidence is going to have to conform to a standard. It's going to have to conform either to your
that's correct.
foundational beliefs, or the evidence will have to conform to the consensus. So by you invoking evidence, we're just going back to square one again in the discussion about proof. Now, I'll ask you again. This is the third time I've asked you, is proof and verification that which conforms and coheres to your most foundational beliefs, or is proof and verification that which conforms to the consensus?
He's speechless.
Which is it?
Well, we'll say that proof and verification is that which conforms to my what was it? Foundational beliefs.
Foundational beliefs.
Okay.
Good. Now I'm going now. So proof and verification is that which conforms to your most foundational beliefs. Now, you have now contradicted yourself, and I'm going to explain to you why. I said in the beginning of the conversation, when you say, well, you haven't proven the Bible, blah, blah, and I gave you the proof of the Bible, that which conforms to my ultimate standard. But then I said proof and verification for you is that which conforms and coheres to your ultimate standard. And you said, no, your foundational beliefs are your ultimate standard, are they not?
Are my foundational beliefs the ultimate standard of proof?
No, I said your most foundational beliefs about reality are the ultimate standard by which verification has to cohere with. So your foundational beliefs, your most foundational beliefs about reality, is the ultimate standard of proof. Right?
And so if my foundational
beliefs, correct? Is that correct?
Can I respond? So if my foundational beliefs,
that's a question.
Can I respond?
If you're going to answer the question.
Just say yes or no. Yes or no is the answer.
No, I would like to fully answer the question.
Yeah, just say yes.
No. Okay, so if my
beliefs the ultimate standard.
So if my foundational beliefs are that, for example, science is the best way to know things are true, yes.
No, sir, no. You still don't understand the issue, okay? Because when you say best way, science is not a foundational belief. The reality of the external physical world would be a foundational belief. That there is causality is a foundational belief. That there are laws of nature is a foundational belief. There are others as well. See, you're not understanding these fundamental philosophical and philosophy of science issues. This is why we're having so many problems in the conversation. So the question to you is, sir, is proof and verification that which conforms and coheres to your foundational beliefs? You said yes. Now, my question that you didn't answer was this. Are your most foundational beliefs by which you prove things, are they the ultimate standard?
I think for anybody, they're the ultimate standard.
Okay, good. You've now contradicted yourself, because in the beginning of the conversation, I said to you, proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to an ultimate standard, and you said no.
No, and now let me explain why. Because that is your foundational belief.
No, I didn't stipulate. No, I didn't stipulate my ultimate standard. I just simply defined proof and verification as a definition. I said verification and proof is that which conforms and coheres to an ultimate standard, and you said no.
No, I do say no. I do say no, because let me explain why.
Again.
Let me explain why. Because your proof, the beliefs that you have that act as your presuppositions are based on your foundational beliefs as well. You act as though
definition, sir. We're not talking about my proof. We're not talking about my standard. We're talking about the definition of proof. I said to you, proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to one's ultimate standard. You said no. But then when I asked you, is proof and verification that which conforms to your foundational beliefs? You said yes. I then said, are your foundational beliefs your ultimate standard? You said yes. So you have now flip-flopped And in the beginning, you said proof and verification is not that which conforms to an ultimate standard, but now you're saying proof and verification is that which conforms to your foundational beliefs, which is your ultimate standard. That's a contradiction.
I didn't mean to contradict myself, right?
You,
what I'm saying,
you did mean it. You did. Did you?
It was an accident. Can I finish?
Did you contradict yourself?
No, I haven't contradicted myself.
You haven't contradicted yourself, dude. You are totally you are.
Let me respond, please. Thank you. Because here's the reason I haven't contradicted myself. Because your foundational beliefs are also your ultimate standard. Because let me finish.
It's
no. Let me finish, sir. Sir, I have let you talk, and I am sick of you. Let me finish.
Saying it's irrelevant means you can't actually have the point, and it's a blunder, right?
Okay, let me finish.
Right? Because he contradicts himself, then he says he doesn't. He can't make up.
No, I'm not contradicting myself. And if I could explain why, because your foundational beliefs are also your ultimate standard. What you say is that the Christian God is your ultimate standard, but that's just your belief. You believe that the Christian God is your ultimate standard. So you act as though you have this kind of intellectual, moral high ground, but you don't. You believe that the Christian God is real. You believe that the Christian God is the ultimate authority, but that's just your foundational beliefs, right?
And what you're doing right now is you're just picking up a semi-related topic. The issue is, what we're discussing is, what is the nature of proof and verification? Okay? Now, what I'm trying to drive home to you is not that I reject that definition, that verification and proof is that which conforms to my ultimate standard. I accept that. I asked you if you accepted that definition, that proof and verification is that which conforms to an ultimate standard. You said no. But then a few minutes ago, you said proof and verification is that which conforms to your foundational beliefs, and your foundational beliefs are your ultimate standards. That, sir, is a contradiction. Are you not? I've explained this 5 times to you.
Okay,
you contradicted yourself.
What conforms to my foundational beliefs, okay, is my standard. You don't need to include ultimate in there. There's no reason to include ultimate. That's why I just feel like you're talking in circles. Yes, my foundational beliefs are the whatever you can say, the foundation for proof.
Are your foundational beliefs your ultimate standard?
Yes.
Okay, so proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to the ultimate standard?
Yes.
Well, then why did you say earlier that proof and verification is not that which conforms to an ultimate standard?
Because I don't feel like the ultimate standard part is even necessary. This is just semantic game.
Sir, it's not a semantic game. You contradicted yourself.
No, I haven't, because you're making you don't have to have the ultimate standard part.
This is why it is impossible to converse with you, because you don't know how to focus. I asked you, is proof and verification that which conforms to an ultimate standard? You said no. But then when I ask you, is proof and verification that which conforms to your most foundational beliefs, and your foundational beliefs are your ultimate standard? You said yes. That is a complete contradiction. How many times? It's the 6th time I have explained to you how you contradicted yourself about the nature of proof and verification.
Well, we'll just say that my foundational beliefs are my standard, okay? Let's leave it at that.
Is it the ultimate standard?
It's the only standard. We'll just say that.
Okay, good. So proof and verification is that which conforms to an ultimate standard. Right?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you agree with that?
Go ahead, yeah.
No, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. If you're saying yes now, why did you say, when I initially gave you that definition, why did you say no?
Why did I say no?
I said to you, proof and verification is that which conforms and coheres to an ultimate standard. You said no. Now you're saying yes.
I was wrong.
So you contradicted yourself.
Sure.
Good. Now that we're clear that proof and verification is that which conforms to an ultimate standard, then the question is what is my ultimate standard versus what is your ultimate standard? My ultimate standard is the mind of God, and as it has been revealed in special revelation. Now, if you say what proves the Bible is the ultimate standard, well, the Bible proves itself. Now,
how does the Bible prove itself?
Because God speaks infallibly and inerrantly when he gives revelation, and there cannot be an independent source of verification for the ultimate authority God. God is his own ultimate authority. His revelation.
This is can I respond to this?
I'm not done yet.
Okay,
I'm not done yet, because I already know what your objection is going to be. Now, if the ultimate standard cannot verify itself, then what verifies your ultimate standard?
First of all, I don't agree that the Christian God is your ultimate standard. Let me finish. Let me finish my whole thought before you go on your rampage. No.
When you answer my question, when you answer my question, if you do not accept, here's the question, and then I'll shut up. If you do not accept that the God of the Bible's revelation verifies itself because it is the ultimate authority, then how do you verify your ultimate standard, Wing?
First of all, what I want to say is the argument that you just gave was completely circular. You said the Bible is true because God says it's true. God argues that, that God gave these revelations in the Bible and they can't contradict themselves. But second of all, I would make the claim that you are using, it is your foundational beliefs that the Bible is true and that the Christian God is real. And these are unfalsifiable beliefs, by the way. There's no way to, let me finish. There, in your worldview, there is no way to falsify the Christian God's existence because you have started from the point that the Christian God exists and the Bible is true. Therefore, no evidence and no data and no argument could ever possibly convince you otherwise. So there's that problem from the very beginning. Right. Your beliefs are totally unfalsifiable. Good. And second of all, they're just your beliefs. What you're doing is you're elevating yourself. You're trying to elevate your worldview as higher than everyone else's in a very circular way, right? But in the end, these are your foundational beliefs. We talked about foundational beliefs for a long time. And eventually I agreed with you. Yes, my foundational beliefs are the ultimate standard of proof. But these are also your foundational beliefs, that the Christian God is real, that the Bible is true, etc., etc. You're trying to elevate them as something more. You're saying, oh, these aren't just my foundational beliefs. God is my ultimate standard. No, that's what you believe, right? That's your belief. That's not your evidence. There's no evidence.
Okay. Now, you raise the issue of falsification. Now, you made a very big mistake in introducing that concept. You're not aware of the mistake that you've made, okay? Now, is God or the God of the Bible unworthy of belief because it is unfalsifiable?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, so God of the Bible, God is unworthy of belief because God is unfalsifiable in principle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Everybody hear that? Yep. Okay, here comes the coup de grace. If God is unworthy of belief because he is unfalsifiable, then nothing can count as evidence for God, right?
No, what? No.
If God is unworthy of belief because he's unfalsifiable, then nothing can count as evidence for God.
I don't agree with that. I don't see where you're going with that.
Well, if something can count as evidence for God, then God is worthy of belief.
If evidence that can be falsified, that can be falsified.
Let me simplify it for you because you have a lot of trouble understanding things even when I break it down for you. Now, is God unworthy of belief because God is unfalsifiable?
If you cannot provide evidence for God that can be falsified. No. Let me answer. If you cannot provide evidence for God that can be falsified, then no, he is not worthy of belief.
Okay, good. Now, what observation could you have that would falsify your not God worldview that you are speaking from?
I never said I came from a non-God worldview. God could exist. I'm agnostic.
No, sir. That's a not God worldview.
No, it's agnostic. God could exist.
Sir, let me explain to you. Okay, this is a common mistake that agnostics make, right? Agnosticism is simply atheism light. Now, here's the problem. If we're talking about gold on Mars is not the ground of all being. I'm sure you would agree with that, right?
I don't think the ground of all being is a term that's coherent. Okay. I think that's an incoherent term.
It is a coherent term. It means that That which exists upon which all contingencies depend. That's a coherent definition I just gave you. Now, so gold on Mars, okay, let me rephrase this. If you were to deem that God exists, and God was the creator and sustainer of all things, wouldn't by definition God be the ground of all being?
I don't agree that the ground of all being is a term that's coherent. I think that's an incoherent.
Okay, sir, this is why it is so difficult to converse and debate with you, because you're just not coherent. Listen, you must believe in some ground or ultimacy of reality, because if you tell me no, then your assertions, predications, and statements of contingencies don't depend upon anything.
They're dependent on evidence. I've said that before.
Okay, dude. This is becoming more clear to me. You're not understanding this philosophical issue. You keep on going back to evidence. Evidence depends upon causal relations, does it not?
Sure.
Okay. Now, causal relations will either be self-existent and the ground of all being, or causality will depend upon something else, which is the ultimacy of reality. So is causality, in your worldview, the ground of all being, or is something else?
Again, I don't think the term "the ground of all being" is coherent.
Okay, no, sir. I just explained to you why it's coherent. Okay, saying that it's not coherent after it has been explained to you in a coherent fashion is not a rebuttal. Now,
I don't understand what you mean by the ground of all being.
Okay, so God is unfalsifiable. Okay, so when it comes to your worldview as an agnostic, does your capacity to think and to reason, is that the ultimacy of reality, or does your reason depend upon another state of affairs?
I would say consciousness is where reality begins.
Sir, you're not understanding this. Does the moon exist because of your reason?
No.
Okay, so the moon exists because of some other ultimacy.
No, the moon exists independent of my reason.
Right, but the moon, either the moon is the ground of all being, the ultimacy of reality upon which everything depends, or something else is.
I don't agree that there has to be something on which everything depends. You're making.
Oh, great, good. Now, welcome to my spider web. So, in other words, you don't believe that there is an ultimacy of reality that secures all contingent states of affairs?
No, I don't understand.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, I'll repeat the question. Is there an ultimate absolute nature of reality which is the foundation and secures what is possible and what demarcates what is impossible?
If you're asking, is there a reality that exists outside of my reasoning? Yes, I believe there is.
I didn't ask you that question. You see, this is the problem. In the last hour and a half, your inability to focus on my questions prolongs the conversation doubly of what it should have been. You give me responses or answers to question I didn't ask you. Now, is there an ultimacy or absolute nature of reality upon which all possibility depends?
There is a reality outside of myself. We'll make that.
Okay, so there is an ultimacy of reality?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would you be able to reason if it were not for that ultimacy?
Would I be able to reason without the ultimacy of reality?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe.
You see, this is what is so frustrating. You shoot your mouth off like you know what you're talking about, and you're clueless when I ask you these simple questions. You're a deer in the headlights, dude.
No, I'm not. I mean, because listen, let me respond. Because look, it's possible that, for example, there is a reality that exists outside of ourselves that's independent of us, right? that the universe existed before human beings, and that we came into existence.
Listen, dude. Listen.
No, let me finish. Let me finish my thoughts.
I'm trying to get to a point. You're clearly you don't see. You keep on giving me these little community college lectures.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish my thoughts, please. You've been talking for like 30 minutes.
What is the base? Since you withhold belief in God, what is the ultimate foundational reason in existence why you have the capacity to reason?
I think that reasoning is. I think reasoning is an extension of consciousness. I think.
Again, you're not focusing. Focus, dude. Take some Ritalin. Okay. What is the ultimate prerequisite in existence that provides for the capacity to reason? Is it matter, energy, causality, and laws of nature?
So you're asking what gives human beings the ability to reason? Is that what you're asking?
Is reason is not the ultimacy of reality. Reason is a contingency. It is a process. It depends upon other states of affairs for its nature, for its process. Since reason is not the ultimacy of reality, something else must be. Okay? Now, you have deemed that God is unworthy of belief. Now, what is it foundationally that exists that provides you with the capacity to reason? Is it matter, energy, causality, and laws of nature?
No, I think reasoning is a product of consciousness. I think that conscious beings.
You just gave me the same, dude. You just gave me the same answer to the same question I just asked you twice. Now,
just because you don't listen, let me finish. Let me respond to you.
Do you think I repeated the question in order to hear the same silly answer?
No, let me respond to you. You've been talking for forever. Let me respond.
I'm waiting for an answer.
I'd like to give an answer. You have to let me respond.
Dude, you don't know how to focus on your interlocutor's questions.
I'm trying to focus. If you'd let me respond, you have been dominating this discussion for an hour and a half, and then anytime I try to respond to you, you go off topic. You're not answering my questions. Blah 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 blah.
Listen, dude.
This is not. See, look. This is why I do not go off topic. No. Let me finish. Let me finish. This is why I do not like this format, because what we have been doing for an hour and a half is that you have just been asking me a series of questions over and over and over. And then if I don't answer the question in the way that you find, in the way that is impressive to you, you go, oh, you're wrong, or you're off topic, blah, blah, blah. I have not had a chance to explain my position well. No, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely what's been going on here.
You know what? I'm gonna make note of here that if you use the same name, I'm gonna avoid you like the plague. You do not have the capacity to focus on what I am saying to you. Every time I speak to you, whether I make an assertion or I ask you questions, your response is to go down some semi-related rabbit trail. Now, I'll ask the question again. Now, what is the ultimate reason why you have the capacity to reason? Is
consciousness. I've explained that consciousness gives the ability to reason.
Listen. You're not understanding the nature of the question. Is consciousness an emergent property of your neurology?
I think consciousness is the foundation by which...
Sir, does your consciousness depend upon brain processes?
In a naturalistic worldview, it does.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you, does your consciousness, does your reason depend on certain prerequisites such as neurology?
No. No, I'm not gonna. No.
Okay. Does everybody see the problem now that we're dealing with here?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody in the room not see the problem?
Well, you kind of beat it into him until you got the answer he wanted.
Okay. He just said that his consciousness doesn't have the prerequisite of neurology. This is what he just said, everyone.
Ultimate.
WingFlier, I got a WingFlier really quick. I think
now I understand why I've had such a difficult time. Now it's become clear to me. You don't have the foggiest idea of what you're talking about, but you're shooting your mouth off in a very opinionated and assertive way when you are in a total fog about these issues.
No, it's not. I mean, this is a position.
Oh,
right?
Okay, good. So your consciousness doesn't depend on neurology. What does it depend upon?
Consciousness is the foundation of experience.
What does your consciousness depend upon if it's not neurology? What is it?
No, consciousness is the foundation of experience, sir.
You see, hear that, everybody? I ask him a question, and he gives me an answer to a question I
no,
didn't ask.
because your question is incoherent. Consciousness is the foundation for experience.
He didn't ask you what consciousness is. He's asking
you are totally. See, this is why. And by the way, you said that I've never talked with you before. I have talked with you at least 3 other occasions. You just
no, we've never talked before.
Sir,
I've never.
Have you ever talked with Darth Dawkins?
No.
Okay, sir, listen.
I have no idea who you are.
I have spoken with you before. You don't remember it. Okay, listen.
When was
one more
this?
time, sir, listen to me. I asked you a question. The answer you gave back to me wasn't an answer to my question. It was a response to another question. Now, your consciousness, if it doesn't depend upon its existence, upon neurology, then what does your consciousness depend upon for its processes?
And in my view, consciousness is the foundation for existence. I mean,
that's not okay, sir. Again, you see, everyone, do you see what I'm saying here? This is why I haven't gotten anywhere in 2 hours here. You're totally a deer in the headlights. Listen, do you understand? Does your consciousness exist independently of any prerequisites?
Yes, I think it does. Yeah.
Ending every argument.
Okay, all right, we're done.
Not to
Can I respond to
that?
Can you give me a chance to actually respond, because you've been asking questions for like
this is okay now.
So let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. Because here's why I say that. Because this is actually a position, and I actually encourage you to read about it, okay? And this is something that's very common within Eastern philosophy as well. For example, ideas like Buddhism and Taoism, etc. Because when you come into the world, for example, what you rely on is your consciousness and your experience. Everything that you know about reality comes from your own experience, and your experience is reliant on consciousness. And that's true of everyone. Now, we make assumptions about reality, like, for example, let me finish. For example, that there's an external world, right? That there are things independent of us. But ultimately, the starting point that we all have is consciousness. And so if you are asking me to justify consciousness, if you're asking me to say, you know, what's your foundation for consciousness? How do you justify that you're conscious, blah, blah, blah. Consciousness is where we begin, right? I mean, we all come into the world.
You're against abortion?
Listen, all you're simply doing is you are repeating a community college lecture. Now, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Human consciousness, it exists and is a process because?
No, not because. It's the foundation, sir. It's the foundation.
So your consciousness has always existed?
It's always existed as long as I've been alive.
Sir, did your consciousness ever begin to exist?
My consciousness has existed as long as I've existed.
That's not it. You see, does everyone see the problem here? The guy is totally clueless. I ask him a question, and he gives me an answer to a question I didn't ask you. I said, "Has your consciousness?" How would I know if my consciousness has your consciousness existed at all times?
How would I know that? How would I know the answer to that,
sir? So the answer is you don't know? Did your consciousness ever begin to exist?
I have had a conscious experience from the beginning. That's all I can say.
I didn't ask you You're
asking a question.
Okay, so the answer is yes. So your answer is your consciousness had a beginning. Is that correct?
It had a beginning as far as I'm aware of it.
Now, did the beginning of your consciousness occur acausally? Notice I said the word acausally, without cause.
I have no idea.
So your consciousness exists because of I don't know?
So let me ask you this. No. Let me respond.
No. That was a question. Is your consciousness
Let me respond to you.
I want an answer to my question. Does your consciousness exist because of I don't know?
Let me respond to you. I think your question's incoherent, and I'd like to explain why.
How is it incoherent to say, is your consciousness in virtue of something or I don't know?
Can I respond to the question, or are you just going to interrupt me?
Well, if you're directly going to answer the question instead of scurry down some rabbit trail, here's the question. Does your consciousness exist because of something or nothing?
Change the subject.
I'm not trying to change the subject.
All right.
Here's what I'm saying. That just because you don't know the answer to something, right, does not mean that your question of does your consciousness exist because I don't know has any rational answer. Okay, I mean, I don't, like I said, in my view, you begin at consciousness. You begin at every person's consciousness.
That's not a question I'm asking you, sir. I'm asking you is if your consciousness, the origin of your consciousness, popped into existence out of nothing or because of something.
I don't know. How would I know that?
Okay, good. So your consciousness exists because of I don't know.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Listen, if anyone else wants to talk with me, I'm done with this guy.
Okay, can I respond before? Okay, I mean you can leave if you want. Idiot. But here's what I will respond to your whole hour and a half of talking. What you have said is, and something we both agreed on at some point of the conversation. What you said was that a person's foundational belief is the, how did you say it? You said a person's foundational belief is their standard of proof. And then basically what your argument is that I have a better standard being the Christian God.
No, I didn't say that.
Yep, that's exactly what
No, that's not what I did.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
Wrong.
That's not what he said.
Let me finish.
That's not what he said.
Okay, sir, listen.
What you're saying is, listen, can I finish my thoughts,
No, you can't fish. Okay, I did not say that, sir. I never, okay, you're muted, Tony. Okay, now, I have never stated that I adopt the Christian worldview because it's better. I've never said that.
Okay, what you said is that the Christian worldview is the only worldview that can account for logic and rationality and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Did I say that?
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh, okay, good. Because just a minute ago you said that I said something different.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. This is like a semantic.
Oh, so your recollection is faulty now?
Yeah. I'm a human being. I make mistakes.
Yeah, that's why it's difficulty talking with you because you have an inability to listen carefully.
Can I finish my thought? So we both agree that a person's foundational belief is their standard of proof, right? But what you're saying is that you have this ultimate standard, which is the Christian God, and that the Christian God is the only standard in which logic and reason and rationality can exist. Right?
Religions are scams and freaking power.
And what you're saying is that the reason you know that's true is because the Bible the Christian God has revealed the Bible, right? The Christian God has revealed the Bible and revealed himself in the Bible, and that these revelations prove themselves because God reveals himself in the Bible, and these cannot contradict. And you're offering this as the most superior worldview in which no other worldviews can compete, even though you're using the circular reason. I say it one more time. I never said it was superior. I said it's the only coherent. Okay, well, you're saying it's the only, and you're saying all the other ones fail. But what you're doing is you're doing that from your own perspective. You're doing that by saying, look, I know the Bible is true. I know that the Christian God is real. And you're saying, because I know all this is true, I can look at all the other views and say that mine is better, that mine is the only one that works. But here's the issue with that. if I ask you to justify your claim that the Christian worldview is the only worldview that works, if I say prove that this is true, you cannot prove it, because this is your absolute foundation in which proof is created, right? You cannot prove your own position.
Okay, good. Let me ask you this question: Do you accept or reject that only the ultimate authority can prove that it is the ultimate authority? That the ultimate authority verifies itself. Do you accept or reject that?
That the ultimate authority verifies itself.
That which is the ultimate authority verifies that it is the ultimate authority. Do you accept or reject that?
How can I reject that? How can evidence verify itself?
Okay, here's the problem. Okay, all right. Listen, I'm not trying to be mean.
Okay,
but you are totally clueless in understanding this issue. Now,
yeah, I think that's a problem.
Okay, I'm not trying to be mean. All right, I know I was getting irritated with you before, but it's become totally clear to me you don't have the foggiest idea of what you're talking about. Here's where you're mistaken. Since you reject in principle that the ultimate authority can only verify itself, okay? Since you reject that in principle, so we're clear. Do you reject that in principle?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense that an authority verifies itself.
Now, right. Okay, good. It doesn't make sense. Now, then what authority will you appeal to?
What authority other than the ultimate authority?
If an ultimate authority doesn't verify itself, then what authority will you appeal to verify the ultimate authority?
Sir, I thought we already agreed way past in the conversation that each individual is their authority.
Sir?
That your foundational beliefs...
Wait a minute. Are you the ultimate authority?
Sir, did we not agree? Let me ask you, did we not agree previously in the conversation?
I am a dog with a bone. If I ask a question and the question is skirted, I will repeat the question. I said, are you your ultimate authority?
Did you not agree with me earlier that we both
yes
are?
Or no, dude? Yes or no?
I'm a dog with a bone. Are you your ultimate authority?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know that you are the ultimate authority?
Well, we went over this before because we agreed previously in this conversation. You said that your foundational beliefs act as the...
this is not... I'm going to stop you right here. Yeah. That is not an answer to my question.
No, it is an answer. It is an answer because...
I'm a dog with a bone.
Okay.
How do you... By what authority do you appeal to verify that you are the ultimate authority?
Each person is the ultimate authority.
I understand that.
How do you verify that?
Now, by what authority? By what authority do you verify that you are the ultimate authority? Is it you?
Me personally, what authority would I use? I would use science.
Wait a minute. Listen to me. You state that you are your own ultimate authority. Now, what verifies that you are the ultimate authority?
The discussion we had earlier.
I'm waiting for the answer.
You never let me finish the answer every time I tried to.
What verifies, what authority do you appeal to demonstrate that you are the ultimate authority?
What authority do I... If I'm the ultimate authority, right, and you're asking if I have to appeal to another authority?
Okay, either you as the ultimate authority will verify yourself as an ultimate authority, or you will appeal to some other source and authority to verify that you're the ultimate authority. Which is it?
So if I appeal to science, if for example, if I appeal to science as an authority.
No, right? Sir, you're driving off the road into the gutter. We're not discussing empiricism here. We're talking about epistemology. We're talking about one's theory of knowledge. Okay. Now, what verifies that you are the ultimate authority? Is it you? Do you verify that you are the ultimate authority? Or is there another person out there or being that verifies that you are the ultimate authority?
I think your question is a trap, to be honest. Because here's in my
view. Do you have an answer to my question?
No. Yeah, I do have an answer to your question.
Are you you're asserting that you're the ultimate authority. How do you know that you're the ultimate authority?
Because that's the only option.
That's an appeal consequences.
That's the only option. That doesn't. So in other words, you're the ultimate authority because you're the ultimate authority.
Well, because there's no. Because
are you saying
because let me explain.
So there's no other. So there is no other ultimate authority.
Yeah, I think each person is their ultimate authority. Yeah.
Okay, you're not understanding this. This is why we have such a difficulty in the conversation.
What the fuck?
When you tell me you are the ultimate authority, how did you determine that you are the ultimate authority? Did you decide that, or did somebody else?
No, it's the only possibility. It's the only option.
Did you decide that?
No, it's the only. Yes, because I'm the authority.
So how can what happens when two ultimate authorities disagree?
Then there's just a disagreement between them.
Then how can they both be the ultimate authority?
They're both their own authorities and they disagree.
You are totally clueless and a deer in the headlights, sir.
I mean, you say that, but here's the thing.
This is why.
No. Let me respond to you, right? Let me respond to you.
Talking with you, I have more intelligent conversations with 14-year-olds than with you.
Okay, look, can I respond to you? Earlier in this conversation, you said that proof is provided by each person's foundational beliefs, correct? Is that not?
I gave you, no, that's not what I said. I gave you a definition of verification. I said a definition of proof and verification is where a stipulation conforms and coheres to your ultimate standard. I give you a definition.
Okay, and the definition was that proof is what is coherent with one's foundational beliefs, right? Is that what you said?
Proof is a stipulation that it conforms and coheres with your ultimate standard or your foundational beliefs.
Okay.
It doesn't contradict it.
So if that's the case, if each person's foundational beliefs is their standard, then how can you deny that each person is the ultimate authority of their own beliefs? How can you deny it?
In virtue of the law of non-contradiction, A cannot equal not A.
How is it contradictory to say that?
When two people disagree on something, as in the course of, like right now, if I'm the ultimate authority and you're the ultimate authority and we disagree, can A and not A coexist?
If two people disagree, right, that doesn't mean that one of them can't be correct.
I'm gonna tell you a little clue about yourself. In this entire conversation, with relatively few exceptions, when I have asked you a simple, clear, and circumspect question, you come back with an answer which is not an answer to my question. I asked you, can A and not A coexist at the same time in the same sense?
No.
Okay, so what happens when ultimate authority A contradicts ultimate authority B?
Then there's a disagreement.
Are they?
My God.
Is one of them wrong?
From their own perspective?
Okay, okay. Anyone else want to converse with me? I'm done with this guy. This guy is certifiably.
ZJ, I got a question. So does he? Maybe you should get him to define ultimate authority, because in his eyes, he doesn't get that ultimate means there's nothing above it or equal to it.
Romans. I've already spent almost 2 hours with this guy, and I shouldn't have wasted a half an hour on him.